quick on its feet and fun to drive, the Bolt.A gives Tesla a run for its money, and it's a 10 best winner, too. A floor-mounted battery powers a 200 horsepower electric motor. In our testing, we recorded 96 mph and a 75 mph highway range of 190 miles. It rides well over rough roads and acceleration is great, launching the car to 60 mph in 6.5 seconds. The cabin has a 10.2-inch touchscreen and a driver-facing 8.0-inch digital gauge cluster. Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, and 4G LTE Wi-Fi are available. Here's proof that the electric car isn't going away. General Motors, that 108-year-old monolithic automaker, now sells a battery electric hatchback that delivers more than 200 miles of driving range and can be had for less than the price of the average new car. With the arrival of the 2017 Chevrolet Bolt.A, the electric car reaches a major milestone, one that also secures its future, a move toward mass appeal. It no longer matters if your in-laws show up at the airport unannounced. The Bolt has enough range to cover a day's tasks plus the unexpected. It no longer matters if venture capital never recognizes the potential of your Bluetooth-enabled toilet seat. Anyone with a typical new car budget can afford a Bolt, and, in the bigger picture, it no longer matters if Tesla goes belly up. Electric cars appear to have laid down permanent roots in the automotive landscape with the first long-range, affordable EV from an established, mainstream automaker. The Bolt starts at $37,495 in LT trim, but the $7,500 federal tax credit will pull the price under $30,000. Some states and municipalities offer incentives beyond that. The liquid-cooled lithium-ion battery pack stores 60.0 kilowatt-hours of energy, equivalent to about 1.8 gallons of gasoline, enough to earn a 238-mile range rating from the EPA. The range and the price by themselves make the Bolt a car worthy of celebration. Drive it, though, and you'll discover the Bolt also is good enough to be worthy of all the breathless hype that's been showered on the Tesla Model 3. We've already verified that the Bolt will actually cover 238 miles during a leisurely jaunt up the California coast that left us with an indicated 34 miles of remaining range. However, the quadratic effects of aerodynamic drag mean that the faster you drive, the faster the battery drains. So in our most recent rendezvous with the Bolt, we performed a real-world range test that mimics a long highway road trip. With the cruise control set to 75 miles per hour and the climate system set to 72 degrees, we drove the battery to exhaustion in 190 miles. As far as we're concerned, that's still more than enough for daily driving duties. The Bolt also puts its driver at ease by showing 3 range numbers in its digital instrument panel, a maximum, a minimum, and a more prominent best estimate based on your driving style and accessory usage, climate control, key lights, audio, as well as ambient conditions. Range anxiety isn't the sharknado of underlying worry that it was in earlier EVs. The fear of running out of juice unexpectedly was a far more serious issue in electric cars of the recent past, which occasionally chewed through 2 miles on their predicted range readouts for every mile driven. Consumer focus on range could fade away entirely except for the last real hurdle to widespread EV adoption, the inconvenience of recharging during journeys that exceed the battery's single charge range. With the Bolt's impressive reach, after a typical day, most owners will need only to plug in overnight. Those who venture farther afield will find that the charging network is the one arena where Chevrolet is still handily outscored by Tesla.For $750. Bolt buyers can opt for direct current fast charging capability via a combined charging system, CCS, port. As of September 1, 2016, there were 1,061 CCS fast charging connectors in the United States, versus 2010 Tesla Supercharger hookups. Most CCS stations charge at 50 kilowatts, and Chevrolet claims they can be expected to add 90 miles of range in 30 minutes of charging. Not bad, but that's roughly half the rate of Tesla's 120 kilowatt superchargers. And access to CCS chargers definitely isn't included in the price of the Bolt.A. Bigger concern is that CCS connectors are clustered around major population centers, leaving vast stretches of U.S. interstates completely uncovered. You won't, for example, be be making the 600-mile drive from Kansas City to Denver in a Chevrolet Bolt unless you don't mind charging for upward of 30 hours on 110-volt outlets along the way. Even on a typical 240-volt, 32-amp Level 2 charger, the Bolt needs almost 10 hours to recharge from empty. If GM wants EVs to make it to the next milestone, the company needs to address the pitiful state of fast charging infrastructure, either by organizing the industry or simply building the network itself. Immediate, off-the-line urgency is a universal trait of all EVs, but that doesn't necessarily result in quick acceleration times. A Nissan Leaf surges from a stop and then moseys to 60 miles per hour in 10.4 seconds. The Bolt, though, turns the low-end shove of an electric motor into real performance, completing the same task in 6.5 seconds. Just like a Tesla, the Chevy's acceleration performance fades with its battery charge. When tested with a 60% battery charge, the 0 to 60 mile per hour time stretched to 6.9 seconds. The Bolt's default drive mode is designed for drivers making the transition from gasoline-powered vehicles with minimal regenerative braking when the driver lifts off the accelerator pedal. Those who know and enjoy the novelty of one-pedal driving can shift the gear selector into its slow mode for up to 0.3 grams of regenerative braking when they aren't touching either pedal. A small paddle behind the left steering wheel spoke increases the amount of regenerative braking whenever it's held, in either drive or low mode, and it can be used to bring the car to a complete stop. Chevrolet calls the Bolt a crossover, a claim that we dismissed as marketing bluster at first. Clearly, the Bolt looks like any other shoebox compact, but there's actually some credence to Chevy's claim. From a functional perspective, a crossover is defined in part by a tall seating position, which is quantified by the distance from the ground to the driver's hip, a measure known as the H-point. While the Bolt doesn't appear to have the ground clearance of most crossovers, the underfloor battery pack elevates the seating position. At 25.5 inches, the Bolt's H-point is closer to a Toyota Highlander's 28.6 inches than a Volkswagen Golf's 20.8 inches. These are minor criticisms at this early stage for affordable EVs, when the battery technology remains so expensive. The Bolt team focused its priorities where they matter, on the substance, and built the most important vehicle for battery electric technology to date. The Chevrolet Bolt delivers big range, a reasonable price, and impressive driving manners, paving the way for the rest of the industry to follow.